Hello and welcome. Tonight, we've got some extremely exciting material to go through because it's things that you're going to see again when you are sitting in an exam situation and you need to pass. You know, my eyes get big. I get excited about this stuff. You know, you are preparing for a multiple choice exam. The right answer will be right in front of you. You know, and a lot of times you think, well, gosh, I have to. It's not like a completion exam where it says fill in these 4 blanks. This topic is covers the following 4 items and you have to write it in. You know, I mean, no, the right answer will be there. So it's a lot of times it's just a process of elimination. You know, this first answer, that can't be right. You know, the second answer, I don't know, it doesn't sound. Oh, here it is right here. C, answer C, you know, which by the way is usually right. I mean, you know, at least part of the time. But anyway, tonight we're going to be talking about some topics that have to do with Utah law. And it's and rules and regs and things and how you progress and actually complete transactions in our industry, how you act and how you react. So let's hit with number 1. An agent cannot place a sign on a property. And with us tonight, of course, is Dan Naylor, owner of our school and our host with the most here tonight. So here we go. An agent cannot place a sign on a property without putting up a sign. Okay, you got the listing. You're so excited. There's a sign in your trunk. You want to go plant it in the ground. Or maybe you're using a sign service or something. We'll bring one out. But when can you put that sign up? What do you have to do in order to put it up? All right. Do you have to notify the Division of Real Estate? Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. Ridiculous. Of course, you don't have to notify the Division of Real Estate. I mean, thousands of listings in the state of Utah. Do you think the division even has the manpower and the facilities to take on agents calling in to get permission to put up a sign? It's ridiculous. The division doesn't want to know what you're doing until they find out you're doing something wrong. And then they want to know exactly what you're doing. And they have investigators that will, you know, come out and get the truth of everything. So, but this question, of course, you know, that's not the right answer. Having your broker present. Hello, Mr. Broker. Yeah, I know you got 300 agents and you're really busy, but you know, I'll be putting a sign up on the Miller home. Yeah. Anyway, I need you there. Why? To see the hole dug? A lot of times, if you're using a sign service, you're not even present. So, yeah, I don't think so. C, getting permission from the owner. Maybe we'll hang on to that one. That one's warm and fuzzy. That's because it's the right answer. C, getting an opinion, an option, getting an option to purchase the property. Okay. Well, C is the correct answer, folks. Maybe this one was a little bit too easy, but I would kind of cement it up in here because, you know, might be something you see again real soon. Okay. Getting the permission from the owner. And where is that permission? Usually it is in the listing contract. And all these types of contracts must be in writing. And there is a paragraph that actually addresses this issue that you can put a sign on the property. Number 2, please. And that's where you get the permission. J, a real estate agent, is representing the buyer P. Okay, J is an agent, buyer is a P. Okay, they are submitting an offer to the seller M, who is represented by agent Q. So we got 2 agents here. We got a J and a Q, and then we got a seller who's an M and a buyer who's a P. Okay, now you can have scratch paper. It has to be blank, you know, and they give it to you when you walk in there. So, you know, if you have to make notes, you know, like buyer J, you know, your buyer P, you know, whatever. All right. So to whom must J disclose that he is P's agent? Okay. Now, P is the buyer, J is the real estate agent. So J has to disclose to somebody that P is his client. Okay. That's the question. To whom must you disclose this? Look at A, P only, their client. No, your disclosures, you know, have to take on more than just the guy that already knew you were working for him. Okay. M, the seller. Okay, that would be okay. What about Q? Okay. Who's another agent? Well, the problem with these is it says only, only, only. And what does D say? All of these people. So do you think the division would rather have you kind of disclose a little bit to some one or two people, or must you disclose to everybody involved in the transaction? You need to disclose to everyone. Obviously, another obvious answer here, but I guess it's easier for me because I used to write all these questions for the nasty test companies. But anyway, P, Q, and M. Everybody has to know whom you're representing and who you're responsible for and all that kind of stuff. So kind of obvious if you stop and think about it. Problem is that this is a timed exam. And yes, you will have plenty of time to do everything if you don't fall asleep, or if you don't spend too much time in any one question. So the easy ones like this, you need to look at it, discover where that answer is, choose the answer, kind of double check it real quick in your mind, and then move on to the next question. This question and the one before it could be answered in just seconds, okay? Because you'll have some that'll take a lot more contemplation and gyrations in your brain trying to remember exactly what it was that you learned, and it's kind of fuzzy right now maybe for you. So don't spend more time. Now, and once you have answered this question, I want you to forget about it and go to the next one. Don't leave little bits of you behind as you're going through these questions, because at the end, there'll be nothing left and they'll have to wheel you out of the exam. Let's look at number 3, please. And that would be embarrassing, okay? Number 3, what must a licensee include when advertising properties listed by their brokerage? Okay, A, the brokerage name. B, the name of the principal broker. C, the associate broker's name. D, the agent's name. Now, your name is probably on that sign because you want the calls. You want them to call you and say, oh, I love the little house. We even peeked in the window. It looks wonderful. We love the area. We drove all around. We're not working with an agent. Can come show it to us. So yeah, I'm already on my way. Okay. So your name will probably be there. But that's not what the question says. It says, what must a licensee include when advertising? What must? Associate brokers in your company? Oh, what the heck? I mean, the only difference between an associate broker and a salesman is that the instead of having a sales license, you have a broker's license, but you choose not to be the responsible broker. You're really the same status as a salesman when you're working for another broker. Unless you're a manager or something, and then you'd be a branch manager or something like that. But really, associate brokers, that's a sucker's answer. Don't ever pick that one in this context, because they don't have to be on your advertising. Wow, every sign you put up's got to have my name because I sit next to you in the office in the other cube. So I want the calls, nah. The principal broker's name, his individual or her individual name. Once again, if they are an entity, which most brokers are, then their name doesn't have to be there. The name needs to be the brokerage name. It's probably an LLC or a corporation or something like that, but A is the correct answer here. A is the correct answer. Okay, let's move on to number 4, please. By the way, if you guys have any questions, chime up in the chat and we'll get them answered, okay? Looks like there is one person in the chat. Okay, take a look at that, Dan, see if they had a question. The commission rate on a real estate transaction. Okay, the rate of commission you're charged is set by division rules. No. B, are determined by company policy and cannot be changed. This is in concrete, cannot be changed. Cannot be changed by the clients. Well, I mean, they already, they have to agree to something and they can't just arbitrarily change that. D, can always be negotiated. Can always be negotiated. When you first sign up, it can always be negotiated. And you can kind of try to stick to that. Sometimes there might be further negotiations, particularly if repairs and things had to be made or concessions had to be made that they weren't planning on. And if you're generous, maybe it could be negotiated even when you get an offer and whatnot. But D is the correct answer on this one. The number 4, it can always be negotiated. The division is not going to tell you how to run your business. The division is not going to say, no, thou shalt always charge 8%. This is our cardinal rule. It's in the rules. You have to charge. It's negotiable. Some companies have flat rates. Some companies have different types of splits where they give away more of the commission in order to entice buyers. But this last go around, and even today, our inventory is short. So, they may list for 7, keep 4 and only pay you 3, or if it's a slower market, they may list for 7 and keep 3 and give you 4, give you a little bonus for selling their listing. But right now, there's still a shortage of properties and more people want to live in Utah than we have houses for. So, but it can always be negotiated. Let's go to number 5, please. Okay, number 5 is fun because if an agent negotiates a deal for a client where the client receives a fixed amount and any additional revenue over that sale goes to the brokerage, wow, okay, how much do you want to net out of this thing? Oh, I want to net this, and here are some of the expenses, and here's my loan payoff. Great, okay. Anything above that I get to keep, right? Okay, so that all adds up to like, $40,000, and you want to make 10, so that's $50,000. So if I sell for 65, I get 15 grand, right? That's called a net listing, and they're illegal. Net listings kind of pit you and your fiduciary against each other. You should be looking out for their best interest all the time, not your own greedy commission check. Now don't get me wrong. My mantra in the business has always been bless lives, make money. Both are important. You need to make money or you can't provide the service you need to provide. You'd have to work part-time or cut costs somewhere. So you can't do that. So what we're looking at here is number 5 is a net listing. Thank you, Dan. Let's go to number 6. Here we go. Which of the following must be included for a team ad to comply with Utah real estate advertising rules? Okay. Brokerage name, team leader name, team address, team name. B, C, and D all have a commonality. And if you sucker for one of those, a pox will fall on your home, okay? Because the right answer is A, the brokerage name. Just because you belong to the Hotsy-Totsy team, where we sell all the properties in this particular area or more than anybody else, and we're the coolest agents in the world, but if that team is not a company, it's not the broker. And we see a lot of these, the Hotsy-Totsy team who's part of a certain franchise or a certain real estate company. The brokerage name has to be on the sign. Now, many states require that the brokerage name on the sign be bigger than the team name. And some states say, well, okay, they have to be equal size. Utah is a little more liberal than those two types of states because Utah says that, well, it can be clear, it has to be clear and evident that this team is not a brokerage. The brokerage has to be on there somewhere, but they don't specify any type of percentage in relationship to how big your name is into the broker. It just has to be clear and visible. So as long as it's on there, you can have the Hotsy-Totsy team and then brokered by or brokerage company in a little smaller print if you want to. And why would someone want to do that? Well, you don't want people making the mistake of calling the office when they should be. The only number on that sign ought to be your cell phone or something else that could be transferred into somebody else. So it's always answered. And, because, hey, a lot of those 7 o'clock, 8:30 calls, particularly during the summer when, it's still light outside, people are off work and they need a house, to live in. Or they want another house to live in because of their needs and desires and whatnot, they might call. They might call late, And so some agents put a little rider on the sign so it has their cell phone number on it. I put a big number on my signs and I don't put a rider on it because that number happens to be my cell phone, okay? And if I'm not available for whatever reason, I could always forward it into somewhere else, but hey, I can be in Sedona and answer the phone and they say, yeah, we're in front of your house here in Salt Lake. We had these questions and I can answer those questions and say, and look, I'm out of town. I'll be out of town for another few days. I can have one of my associates at the office give you a call right now. In fact, I can put them on and we'll do a three-way call. And so, they can come over tonight and show you that property if you'd like. You should always have someone on standby to take care of your business, even though you're out of town, because, you have responsibility to the seller to get their house sold, so if you leave town for a bit, a week or just even a few days, you need to have someone else back you up. Okay, let's look at number 7, please. Okay. Number 7 says Jan is representing the buyer and they have an offer to present. Ooh, cool. We went over, showed the house, that people liked it, and you sat down, you write an offer. Wow, that's exciting. Now, Jan has not been successful in contacting the seller's agent. I hate it when that happens. In this case, she should do what? Do you think she should go to the seller directly? Well, that's not your client. In our state, we're real careful about, your client-agent relationship. Now, obviously, if it's your listing, you could, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about somebody else's listing. So you can't go to the seller and present the offer. It's not your listing, okay? Even if it's a listing in your own office and it belongs to the broker, and your listing with your buyer also belongs to the broker, you need to do something else here to make this work. Okay, and what do you think that is? Do you think it's contact the broker? Or C, you need to hold the offer until the agent is available? Or D, report to the buyer that the property is unavailable? Why? Because you are? Heavens, no. You try to get that thing sold, okay? So out of these 3 guys, which ones do you think it is? Well, I hope that you're kind of leaning towards B, contact the broker, because that is the correct answer. Contact the broker. In fact, if it's not, and if you still have trouble even getting a hold of the broker, then you contact your broker, and then your broker will try to contact the broker. And if they're unsuccessful, then we have some MLS hoops that he has to jump, rules and regs and little things that we live by, that your broker or he or she is going to have to jump through a couple of hoops in order to present that offer. But it's you got to get your broker involved. Okay. Now, if your broker says, well, I'm out of town also, here's our, my backup for the management and whatnot, then it might be somebody else, but that he designates, and he might even designate you to go do that, but he'll tell you what you have to do. Correct answer on the exam, however, is contact the broker. Okay. Let's look at number 8. Okay, Jay worked very hard to put transaction together, and it worked. The seller recognizes the hard work and gives Jay a $500 tip at the closing. Hey, this is for you. Hand you a little envelope. You open it up. There's 5 $100 bills in there. Wow, that's cool. Well, let's look at and see what you have to do with that. Okay. A, Jay may keep it. What do you think? B, the tip becomes part of the selling and listing agent split, between you and the agent that brought in. Most of your listings are going to be sold by another agent. They're sold through the MLS. A lot of, sometimes there's a large percentage sold by yourself. In my first couple of years in the business, first year sold 58 houses, second year sold 98. But in a lot of those, when I say houses, I mean sides. So, some of the, it sounds like a lot of work. Well, was a lot of work. But on the other hand, if you got both sides, buyer and seller side, you count that as 2 sides. So you should say 58 sides and 98 sides. Okay. Because what normally happens, you put on the MLS, another agent brings you an offer, your seller accepts it, and then their buyer's happy with it. So they close, and that's cool, but that's kind of how it works. That means if you've got a very poor offering on what you're offering the other side, I've seen some list, and because commissions are negotiable, we already looked at that. But if you only have a a $500 commission on there, most agents aren't going to be real happy about that. Now, it's not to say if that's not the perfect house for their buyer, they won't show it, but it's going to get in the way. Human nature is what it is. Look at B. The tip becomes part of the selling listing agent split. We already mentioned that, and that is not the right answer, but the split between the selling and listing agent is put on the MLS. So let's say you list at 6, you keep 3 and you pay the other company 3. Or if inventory is tight, you list at 7, keep 4 and pay the other company 3. You don't have to put on there what you're getting or what the whole commission is. You just have to put in the MLS how much you're willing to pay that other company for bringing the buyer. C, tips are illegal. Illegal? There's a law in Utah that says you can't pay your agent even more than what they asked for because they did a fantastic job. I don't even know how you'd even structure a law like that. D, the tip must pass to J's broker and be paid to J based on J's employment agreement. In other words, it's a bonus, but it's part of the commission. And they were only obligated to pay a fee of this amount of money as designated in the listing agreement. But this becomes part of that. So, it's a $500 bonus. That's great, but it goes on top of let's say 3%. So you get 3% plus 5 and you pay 3 to the other agent. You don't have to share your bonuses that you may or may not get, okay, with anybody else. My first year in the business, I met a syndicator out of California. His name was Dan Hopper, a phenomenal guy. We did a lot of deals together, and I worked really hard for him, and I helped him find the kind of deals he wanted to do. He had unlimited capital. He could buy anything that made sense. And he told me what his parameters were, and I went out hunting, and we did a lot of deals together. And one transaction, he used to fly in. He had his own aircraft, and he would fly into my town. I started in Colorado, and but after one transaction, he didn't fly in. He drove in. It's kind of fun, and he closed there in Grand Junction. Normally, he would, they close remote and whatnot, but he drove in, and he had his, he had a Mercedes, and I had often commented, how beautiful his car was and everything. Anyway, at the end of the transaction, he gave me the keys and title to his car. He said, "Rick, I want you to work real hard for me. I want you to have this." Greatest bonus I ever got. Now, did I have to share that with my broker? So I got it on the odd weeks of the month, and he got it on the even weeks of the month, or something like that. No, at that time I was already my own broker. Colorado's a little unusual in that you can become a broker real fast in Colorado if you took a lot of additional classes and whatnot. So I got a broker's license real quick. The way it is now in Colorado is you actually start as a broker, and there is no sales agent status. So you would be an associate broker if you were working for another broker. Kind of interesting. Only state I know that really does that. All right, so this one, number 8, the answer is D. The tip must pass the broker. It's just part of the commission, okay? Number 9. Okay. I think there's a Beatles song. Anyway, real estate agent B received a referral from their friend who is not licensed. Okay, that's great. If it was unsolicited, they can give them a gift as long as it's $100 or less, $250 or less, $200 or less, $50 or less. Now, you can't give people finder's fees, but you can give people gifts for unsolicited help. Now, what that does not mean is you can't go to the concierge over at the Grand downtown or Little America and say, "Now, look, I know you have people coming in from all over, and I know they like to stay here." And so particularly the high-end group. So if they mention that they're looking for real estate, everyone that comes to me with your business card or you call me and let me know, and give me all their information, I can get a hold of them, I'll give you $1,000. those are great leads. I mean, particularly if they're looking for a $2 million house. Okay. Ugh, can't do that. Although you could give them some of this. Obviously, one of these has got to be right. So you either can give them a C note, two C notes and a 50, two C notes or a 50. Okay, what do you think it is, guys? The correct answer to this one is $250, but it has to be unsolicited. Even if it's $250 or less, if you put together a program to where every time this happens, you get the money, that's solicited. Can't do that. In order to do that, that concierge would have to get a real estate license, and then you'd have to pay his broker or her broker, and then it would pass through that way, just like, they're party to the transaction. So don't mess with that, because that's one thing to get really sideways on, and it's always on the test. Okay, 250 or less, but it has to be unsolicited. Number 10, please. Okay, in Utah, which of the following is legally able to take listings and enter into contracts directly with the public to sell real estate? Independent contractors, property managers, principal brokers, or sales agents? Okay, a sales agent acting on their own. Well, they can't be a sales agent acting on their own. Every sales agent must be attached by the umbilical cord to a broker. So the sales agent is not the one that is crucial to the transaction, although they will be. I mean, in most cases, your broker will never even meet the sellers or a buyer. They just won't. They're trying to do 100 transactions a month, or whatever their goals are. Smaller firms, maybe 50. I don't know. So it's they're just not going to meet all the people that they work with. That was your job. Okay. Property manager and independent contractor, the one that must be there, the one that has to be directly involved, kinda, at least legally, is C, the principal broker. They're the critical element that must always be there in every transaction. Okay. Property managers may or may not, independent contractors, you may or may not be an independent contractor, and a sales agent may or may not be a sales agent. I mean, the principal broker can sell real estate too, but what must be there always, or you don't even have a company, is the principal broker. Number 11, please. All righty, number 11 says the buyer's made an offer and the seller accepted it by signing the sales contract. Cool, I love it when that happens. You're getting close to putting the deal together. When the buyers decide they wanted to extend the closing a week later, okay? So they got it under contract, and then they find out that, there's a delay on the loan, or, there's some problem somewhere. A lot of times these are chain transactions. And so what happens is, in order for them to have the money to buy this house that they've contracted to buy, they have to close on their other house. So maybe there's a delay there. And so that's going to delay them getting the money they need in order to buy this house. Okay. So, that happens a lot. So if there's other ways that delays can occur. This transaction may be going along perfectly, and they may be ready to close, but the other one that they needed the cash out of did not close. So, you'd be surprised. A lot of brokers have access to bridge money, where they can actually lend that buyer the money to buy with the approval of the lender, of course. But that gets really messy and sticky. It'd be better to get that other one closed. And hey, if we can only just extend for a week, then we can get that one closed, legitimately take the money. So you see that there's a couple of problems here. Most people don't have their properties paid off free and clear. They just don't. Maybe you should, maybe you shouldn't. Depends on what your philosophies in life are and how you want to run your finances. But I'll tell you one thing, gentlemen, if you really want to please your sweetheart, pay her house off. Make her feel real secure. Okay. But anyway, here's the deal. You could get an extension, but most of these deals, they need to close that deal in order to close this deal, because they may be getting a loan on their new house. And the lender says, okay, what will your debts be? Oh, this is a loan on the old house. Okay, well, you don't qualify for both those payments. And so you need to have that one sold before you really qualify for the loan. There are a lot of complications here. So anyway, the best thing would be to get an extension, but how are you going to do that? Well, do you write an addendum with the new date and have both parties sign? Yeah, that's the right answer. A is the right answer. Get the seller's permission and then notify the buyers. Well, isn't that kind of what you just did, only backwards, and you did it in writing? This doesn't even mention writing. It has to be written. You can't change a contract without, a written agreement to change the contract, and that's what an addendum does. C, X out the old date and write it a new date. They give everyone a copy. That'd be a lot simpler, but it's would be totally illegal. That's going to get you in big trouble. Can't alter a contract like that. You alter it by writing an addendum, have everyone sign it and agree to it. Or D, rewrite the contract with the new date and get everyone's signature. You can do that too, kind of, But isn't that what you did on A? The correct way to do it is to do an addendum, because it's just adding on to what you already previously agreed to. Okay, that is the correct way to do it. Let's go to number 12, please. In a real estate auction, the principal broker must be the auctioneer, the one that has that, verbiage that, hey, and you get your gavel. I don't know where my gavel is. It's around here somewhere. You whack the gavel. Or supervise your actual sale of the real estate being auctioned. That's the correct answer, by the way. Or C, assign a sales agent to represent each party. Okay. What do you mean each party? You have the guy that owns the property and it's being auctioned off. Okay, well, anyway, or deliver the proceeds to the real estate commission. Yeah, right. The commission is not even the division. The commission is, 4 people. Well, it's 5 people that were, suggested and appointed by the governor with the approval of the state Senate. They have nothing to do with receiving monies, that agents get involved with in commissions. They're a regulatory help to the real estate division. Okay, so supervise the sale, obviously, and write up the contract in our normal contracts. The auctioneer is just to establish the price, and then also there'll be a list of terms that the people have to agree before they even bid. You have to pay cash or whatever it might be. Let's look at number 13, please. Okay, a principal broker supervising a real estate auction serves to A, write the contracts, B, make sure the division receives a percentage. That's laughable. Ensure that everything is done properly according to the law. Ooh, that sounds warm and friendly, fuzzy, and whatever. Warm is not what we're worried about right now. It's the middle of summer. We want it cool. Or D, keep auctions separate from direct sales. Guys, what do you think? It's got to be C. I already gave it away. Ensure that everything is done properly according to the law. Okay, that's it. That's the correct answer. Highlight C, Dan. Thank you. Okay, and then the last question tonight is that copies of the REPC must be provided to all the following except buyer and seller, signatories, except broker, county recorder. Now, all these people involved, county recorder doesn't even get involved till it closes, of course, because they're going to record the deed and maybe the loan if there is one and whatnot, or at least that's where it will be recorded. That's the except, right? Because they don't need the copies of the REPC. They need copies of the deed and the loan documents. That's what they record. You don't record the REPC. I mean, in it would have all the terms of the transaction, many of which some people like to keep private. You don't want the county record is a public record. Anyone can go and look. And they may not want people to know, what they paid for the property or what the terms were, or in some cases, they may even transfer that property prior to closing into some sort of an entity. So. Folks, that concludes our questions for tonight. Does anyone have any questions about anything that you could, think of that you'd like us to answer? Dan, would you put my phone number up, please? I'm going to give you my secret cell phone number. It's 556-8000. That's 801-556-8000. Okay, operators are standing by. You're welcome to call. If you can think of a question after we're off tonight, or when you're studying or cramming for the exam, give me a call, and don't text me and say, is it okay to call me? Just call, okay? I know it's old fashioned, but we'll have a short conversation that doesn't involve the thumbs, okay? And it will, and I guarantee you'll understand the concept. Although it is totally inappropriate to call me during the exam itself. And they're going to take your cell phone away, so you can anyway. Thanks for being with us tonight. We appreciate you. We want you to pass the first time, and we want you to have a successful career too. Now you have a friend in the real estate business. Thank you, Dan.
Thanks, Rick. Really appreciate it. Great work, everybody. Any questions, give us a call, give Rick a call, and we'll take care of you. Have a good one. Hey everyone, I'm Danny, Professor of Realty. If you enjoyed this review, we have another entire review for the National Real Estate License Exam that has helped people pass the exam 85% or more on their first try. It's called Prep My Exam. Check it out in the comments below in the description of the video. If you enjoyed this video, please give Rick and I some appreciation by clicking on the thumbs up, on the like. We're here to help you, so help us help you by liking and subscribing.